10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Developer Suit Podcast. My name is Alex Gortney, and as always, I got my partner Nick Queen. We brought on a guest to the show today, Andre. Andre, can you pronounce your last name for me? I don't want to
Um,
butcher
sh
it totally.
yeah, sure. It's Koenig, Koenig,
All
Koenig.
right. So Andre is, if I remember correctly, you are a front-end developer, correct? Doing
Uh,
front-end
well,
or learning kind of both.
I'm kind of learning both. I did a little bit of HTML and CSS to get me acquainted with it, but I'm
Mhm.
concentrating on Ruby right now.
All right. So go ahead and let's go ahead and give the floor to you, and go ahead and kind of tell us a little bit about your story, what kind of like what you're doing right now, what your future goals are, and so forth.
Well, sure. Thanks, Alex. My name's Andre, and originally I'm from Russia, so English is my second language, and I speak Russian as my first language. And I've been in the United States for about 12 years, and it's just the way it worked out. I have a degree in business management from Russia, so just the way life worked out that I started working in hotels and kind of made a career there in hospitality business. And I was looking to change my line of work because I like my job and it's the great company that I work for right now. But I just don't want to see myself still managing a hotel 10 years later, 20 years later, you know? So I was thinking
Mm.
back and forth about what I can do, going between a couple of different career options, thinking about some things that I might enjoy, and I kept coming back to computers and doing something with that. Ever since I was a kid, I just had little dibs in programming, I guess. When I was a real little kid in like fourth, fifth grade, I did a little programming in BASIC. It didn't really hold my interest for very long, but I did it for a little bit. And then I remember when I was getting familiar with the internet in '99, I did a couple of basic websites when I was 15, so I thought that was kind of interesting. So anyway, it never really amounted to anything, but I kept going back to this, and what really pushed me into actually trying it, one of my many hobbies is designer board games. And a guy in my regular board game group was telling me that he's changing careers right now, and he was doing a course on shoot, I can't remember now. Not Treehouse, another really big online boot camp.
Maybe
Um,
Code
Code
School or
School, Free
and
Code Camp.
yeah, no, never
Code
mind.
Academy?
No, not it was a paid one. It was a one where it's like thousand
No.
dollars for like a front end course, and it's like 6 months, one time a week with a
Oh, boot
tutor.
camp.
Yeah, it was one of the boot camps.
Yeah, so boot camp. Yeah.
Yeah, the name is not really relevant. But so I was like, oh, that's interesting, and I started researching it, and I realized there's thousands of these boot camps, and it's kind of an industry, and a lot of people are actually doing it. So, and that's basically what gave me motivation and interest to pursue it. He actually did it for about 2 months from complete scratch. He is a music teacher, right? So for 2 months he did it. He got a free internship, and by free I mean he wasn't getting paid, like a volunteer internship at a local company here in
Hmm.
Delaware that do websites. And so basically he was working for them for free, just learning as he goes. He completely dropped this boot camp because he didn't have time for both. And like 2 or 3 weeks later down the line, they offered him a full-time position with salary and everything. It didn't pay much, but I mean he was getting paid for learning.
Got his foot in the door.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's pretty great. And he was learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, like a little PHP and stuff.
Cool.
So that kind of inspired me, and I was looking into some boot camps, and for I don't know, I just decided to do self education for now. I mean, I can always go to a boot camp, especially like a treehouse where you just pay, whatever the price is, and just go through their classes and stuff. But I've been just learning, using a couple of books that were recommended, and just using some online resources. And honestly, I haven't been doing it long. I've been dabbling in Code Academy in the summer, but I haven't really spent a lot of time. Um,
Mhm.
my work is extremely busy in the summer because I live in a seasonal town in Maryland. So being in a hotel when it's high season, I can be working 60, 70 hours a week. So I would do it a little bit here and there. But
Jeez.
now that it started slowing down, August, September, I have more and more free time. So I'm putting a lot more hours into studying. When in November, it's actually almost an ideal situation for me right now. In November, the hotel will close. I still have a job to go to 8 hours a day, but there's really not a whole lot of work to be done. Just answer an
Mhm.
occasional phone call, do a little bit of paperwork. I really have like 7 hours out of 8 totally pretty much to myself. So, that
Nice.
time can be spent, studying and learning and coding and stuff. So that's pretty exciting.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I don't know. I just keep rambling, I guess, at this point.
No, yeah, it's interesting. So, like, what you said though is, because you said you mentioned that you were trying to get into Ruby and everything too. So, do you have like a date? I don't remember what you said specifically because it was a while when we talked. But do you have like a date that you wanted to be looking for? Start looking to transition into,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when you're like done learning, like.
I do actually. I mean, I guess you're never done learning, but I do think that you need to set a date. Otherwise, you can really stretch it out. You
Drag
really need
on.
a deadline,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know. Again,
Yeah.
I've only really been really coding and learning and getting into it for just a little bit over a month now. I started my blog in like August 10th, where I like, okay, this is like
Mhm.
my official first day when I'm gonna code every day and spend time and do this thing. So today is the 1st of October, so only like for a month and a half. So I don't know how realistic it is, but January 30th is the date that I want to have a different job. By January 30th, I want to be employed, doing coding or anything related to that. So I don't know how realistic it is, but
I
that's the goal right now. So
I wouldn't really shoot for realism because again, it's one of those things to where like my goal is to have a job before I graduate next year in 2016. I mean, it's just one of those things where I would say do what you did and just shoot for it. I mean, it happens, but it's really one of those things like you said. That's something there to strive for.
yeah, exactly. It's nice.
And I think
It's
that's
nice
like the
having.
biggest thing with that.
And I think also you want to, with goals, you want to take that goal. You get to January 30th or 31st. I can't remember which one you said, but at that point you reassess. You see, okay, well, I don't have a job at this point. Here's the skills I do have. Uh, Here's the experiences I've had trying to get something. So then you can maybe make a more, another goal, and perhaps even more realistic, and just continue aiming for that goal. And a lot of times that you also want to maybe chunk the goal up a little bit. By this date, I want to have a really good grasp on, maybe Ruby. By this date, I want to have a good grasp on Rails. By this date, I want to have my first project done. Within that larger goal,
Right.
which is something I need to get back to doing because unfortunately I have my date was actually January 1st, which probably like we're all saying maybe not realistic, but it gives me something to aim for and at least to look at. It gives me 3 more months to be to continue working towards it. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because
it's
like with me, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's nice to have a date in mind that kind of pushes you, and you look at the calendar, and that date's approaching, so you need to hustle and spend more time. But I'm fortunate enough that I have a stable job where I don't need work. I don't need it to be soon because I need money or whatever. So I can actually focus on
Yeah,
looking for work and learning at my own pace kind
see,
of thing.
I think that's where like I would say with you and Nick, where you guys are sort of lucky in a way and you're not. Like, you guys are wanting to get out of the job you are in, but like with me, I was talking to Nick earlier, and it's something like I feel like new people coming out of college or in college or just like starting at 22. I just turned 22, but I was gonna say like at my age, where they don't have a career set yet. So I think for me, it's an even bigger thing to have that goal there, because it's not something I have. It's not like I have something to fall back on if it doesn't work. You know what I mean? So like I have like literally everything writing on it.
Right.
So
Well,
for me to get,
yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I was gonna say it's real tough. Also in the way that I got used to a specific income. I have like bills and things like that rely on a certain level of income. So I'm also not in a position. Let's say I do get lucky. I meet somebody in the business, and in January when my date is coming up, they'll be like, you've been coding a little bit and a little bit of skills. We have this super entry position for you that you can do some kind of a grunt work with code, whatever it might be, and we pay $25,000 a year and stuff, and you can get your foot in the door. And at that point, I'll have to be like, I gotta keep looking,
yeah.
So
yeah, I can feel that too, because like with me, it's totally different where I don't have that to where I just gotta take what I can take. I mean, obviously, I have expectations of what they're gonna have to pay me in order for me to live off of comfortably, not just live off of ramen for the rest of my life until I move up. But I mean, yeah, I can see but like you said, I mean, like especially if you have a house or a family or whatever the case is too, you can't just like take that giant cut. Pay cut just because you're an entry level thing, and like you said, you got to look elsewhere. But I think that's just one of those things that it's just one of those downfalls, I guess. But it's also kind of like one of those things where it's a good thing if you find specifically what you're looking for, because now you met your goal, and now it's just a matter of moving up in the company, and then you transitioned over and all that work paid off. It's just a matter of getting there, which kind of leads me to my next thing of since I've been kind of applying. I said I seriously started applying like a couple of weeks ago. I think 2 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been just in the 2 weeks I've applied. I applied to 50-something different job applications so far.
Wow.
And it's been a total freaking train wreck. And I think a lot of it has to come down to my experience level, obviously, and I'm aware of that. But one thing that kind of really aggravated me, that really set me off, was I get this call from a recruiter, and he starts asking me these different questions. So the recruiter sits down and goes, I'll be honest with you, you're more than likely never going to get a job, or it's going to be really hard because you don't have experience. But I'll try and see what I can do, and if I find anything, I'll call you.
Well, I
so essentially it was like, yeah, you can go ahead and tell Andrew that one, because yours was even worse.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar. I mean, it was just pretty much, nobody that's self-taught will be able to get a job, in this field as this guy, what he was telling me, which is, absurd, because I know several people that are self-taught that have jobs in the field, but, disheartening. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's disheartening.
It's really unprofessional too. So it's like, really, don't waste my time telling me that stuff. But my other thing too is that the second one I got rejected from a couple of them. One of them I actually sent in because I was able to get a name from them. I sent in a thing saying, hey, what can I do to improve my chances? Is that one that you said to just message them back?
Sure.
And ask when I messaged you on Twitter. So I sent them back, and he emailed me back, and he just pretty much blatantly told me it was the experience level, and he stated that one was kind of nice to see that why he denied me, and it was because they had filled a junior level position earlier, and the specific one they were looking for was a senior job. It didn't state it. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, okay. So that one made a little bit more sense and made it a little bit okay to get denied because of that. But it's still one of those things where it's like, great, now you're back to square one. And then I got this other call from another company or I call that they asked me to call them and kind of tell me about me, just to kind of get told the same thing, that they're not really looking for it. And I asked them pretty much, they just said really keep trying to build experience and that I'm going on the right track as far as looking for jobs before I graduate and whatever. So that was kind of interesting to see, even though it was kind of really irritating. But, and then the other thing I dealt with was a company sends me this email saying, we'd like to talk to you. Can you set a time to talk with us? Mm-hmm. But yet they never emailed me back. So I'm kind of like, all right, that was weird. So, I don't know, it's one of those things where I've been literally getting up. I made it a routine to get up, apply to as many jobs as I possibly can, and then go to work on code. But what my goal is right at this moment is I've been looking all over the place, and all I hear is network with companies, network with companies, network with companies. And it's honestly, you can't really do that if you live in my area. Even if you live in a place where you have meetups and so forth, who are you really going to network with? Other developers? I mean, yeah, but if you network with specific, you can maybe meet a couple company owners, but the big thing with that is they're really probably going to tell you to submit your resume. You know what I mean? It's still going to come down to the experience thing.
Well, so I think again, though, I think what what we're doing here is networking. Number one, you're talking to Andre, talking to myself. We talk to different people. Sometimes, places will hire you without doing the resume. We were talking. I had this job interview earlier today. They still want me to fill out an application. That okay, well, but why? We talked about that before. Why are you giving me? I've already given you my resume. Why do I need to fill out an application too? It just makes no sense. But in the grand scheme of things, some places don't operate like that. Some places are, if I own a company and I'm talking to you and I decide I want to hire you, I just hire you. I make you fill out the paperwork for coming on, and that's it. I mean, you get a reputation. Another thing that can help with getting, experience would probably be looking at going into doing like open source projects where you network with more people.
Now, see, this is the other thing I was going to get into, and it's something I want to the reason I was even talking about a lot of this, because I want to kind of give Andre a little bit of advice when he gets to.
Well, and also, I was going to ask Andre real quick, bring him back into the conversation. So, because it sounds like it's just me and you at this point, bemoaning the fact that we're getting shot down by all these recruiters. But Andre, I was just going to ask him, has he had any experience with networking or recruiters in his journey so far?
Not directly, but I can comment on what you guys are talking about. Networking is huge, I gotta say, and I don't know 100% obviously how this field works. I'm really, really new and still trying to figure it out. But even in like my job, I do a lot of hiring for the hotel that I work at. And like you said, why do you need an application? I do that. When I find somebody who I'm interested in, they'll bring me a resume. I'll still have them fill out an application, even though in the back of my mind I kind of already made up my mind that I might be hiring an application file. It's sometimes it's more of a procedural thing than anything, but I digress. But I do think
I hate filling out applications.
It's just something you gotta do. It's just a necessary evil. I have to send something down HR. Just for that reason. But networking, I feel like, is huge, and just in the back of my mind, I might be completely off base, but I do feel like most jobs in this field, and as a lot of other fields, are not filled through Monster.com or whatever ads on sites. Where people just send resumes, because let's say if I have an IT company, right, and I'm looking for developers, I don't think my first my first course of action would be to go on Monster.com and put out I need a junior developer ad, right? I feel like I'm going to go to some people that already work in my company, some other developers that I know, that I trust, and be like, hey, you have a friend who can do this, or somebody who knows somebody who can do this, bring him in. I feel like putting out an application online, or not an application, a wanted ad, is like the last thing that I would do as an owner or a manager of a company when I'm looking for a new developer.
Well, from being in okay, for instance, Nick's kind of laughed at this, but when I worked at Macy's, I saw how they did their hiring process, and the way it works is like you said, they go internally, and then they go outsource.
Right, exactly.
They hire internally, then. So, but with all I was saying about the networking thing is, it's great if you know somebody that works in the company, but that's why I think what they need to mention is when you network with somebody, I think it's more of what Nick's saying, where we know each other. So, if, for instance, Nick gets a job, Nick can then turn around and recommend me to somebody later on once he's established.
Right.
But what I hear other people doing is this convoluted thing where they spend like 6 months just kind of essentially stalking one company, and in hopes that they get a hold of somebody, which I guess can work if you want to do that. But on the other hand, you really got to build a connection with those people in order to really even get them to pull strings.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's not gonna work this way for sure. What the way I see it working, the filling out applications and sending them to places, is fine. Also, I mean, it's not gonna hurt, obviously. But the problem is, for every position that is listed, that's the positions that they just couldn't fill internally or through somebody that they knew, and they'll be getting, I don't know. I mean, this is not obviously a research statistic or anything, but let's say they get 50 applications per spot or 100 applications per spot. Okay, even if it's like just 20, I mean, what are the chances of somebody like you or me who's been just teaching themselves to be the best out of those 20 or 50 or 100 applications? It's really tough to get hired that way.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I get that part, and I mean, honestly, that's really the only option I have living in the city I'm at. It's not like I have 1,000 local tech jobs that I can go apply to.
Yeah.
I mean, but honestly, you're going to end up with that with no matter what job you apply to, even if it's our field.
But
I mean, it's just like working in.
I'm sorry.
What I was saying is, when I worked in retail, it's like he said, I applied to these jobs online. Like, I applied to a job at Sprint, and out of the hundreds of people that I put in, I was selected to go get interviewed because I had X experience working with Sprint systems.
Exactly, but
working for Xerox as a customer support.
Exactly, but all the other people who were without experience didn't get a call back, or you know what I mean. So you're kind of in the same position as the people who didn't get a call back for Sprint. When you're applying to these other tech companies,
yeah,
because there's all these other people with great experience and knowledge applying. Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing that comes down to when you apply to these jobs, though, is that if you don't ever apply to those things, you're never going to get anywhere, because people think of that and they're like, oh, they have a fear of that. But the thing is, there could be 500 different jobs. But the thing is, if you're an entry-level programmer and you have, let's say, a minimum experience, to where someone has 22 years experience, for instance, they're more than likely going to want, depending on the specifics, if they're looking for an entry level, they're not going to want to hire somebody with 22 years experience because they picked up bad habits. So there's a lot of factors, excuse me, that I think goes into it. But what I was going to say overall, I think the biggest thing here is that you just got to be constantly willing to figure out a way to one-up your resume, one-up your projects, one-up yourself. So what I was going to give advice to is, what I was going to say is, since I'm kind of stuck in that thing where I need to build more projects to show more experience, and also get that real-world thing, is what I'm wanting to do now is spend a little bit of time on Free Code Camp so I can get to their nonprofit organizations, so I can get working on a real-world company. Even though I'm not getting paid, it will then show on my resume that I worked for X company on X project that X company wanted.
Yeah, building up experience that way is definitely good, for sure.
So I think by having that nonprofit on there along with the other projects I've built, like Nick was saying and you were saying with the open source stuff, I think that's going to help me in the long run. Like,
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I have a kind of a rough plan in mind how I'm gonna try to go about it to get a job by January 30th. But I mean, again, I do have time on my side where if I don't, it's not the end of the world. You know, I can either readjust how I go about it or just keep doing it. But I am going to try to attempt to do it like on the networking side versus um, making a website with my projects and just sending out thousands of resumes and waiting for callback. And see, even if you get a callback, you have to go through, like, from what I understand, like 2 or 3 interviews, and yeah, I don't know.
Where are you pointing to?
No,
Well,
I mean,
that's a big.
No, I don't know. I mean, I'm just, but
that's
I mean,
pretty standard.
it has to be at
thing
least
these days.
at least 2, right? And then
Yeah.
like one just a preliminary interview over the phone, and then another one with, like, I don't know, some kind of a manager who's just talking to you as far as like people skills and see how you would fit, and then another interview with like their technical guy who'll be like, all right, well, here, how would you do this code or whatever, So I don't know. I mean, I don't have a lot of even coding experience to even verbalize what I'm kind of thinking it would be like.
You pretty much said it right. It's a over the phone interview, or sometimes like I got a pre-screening thing where they ask you a couple questions, which is a technical interview, and then they do a person interview possibly, or whatever the case is.
Well,
And
look
then
at that
say if
interview.
they want to hire you or not.
Yeah, look at that interview I did. I don't know if you know about this, Andre, but
Yeah.
I know Alex was there when I got the. So basically, I had this. I can't even remember what the name of the place was. Well, the name of the company. It was like Spark Hire or something, but the company. It was through a
Something like
recruiter.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they sent me this link, and basically what it is pretty much it comes up, it asks you a question, and then you record a 1-minute answer to the question, and then they get to watch that, your answers to those questions. And it was kind of like what you said, Andre, with the phone interview to kind of screen out people, sort of, and even past that, once I got, they were like, oh, we really enjoyed your answers to the questions, but after looking at your resume, you were looking for somebody with 2 to 3 years experience. I'm like, well, why did you even send me the link? Because as Alex said, or if he remembers, I had to put on a shirt, tie, suit jacket, sitting at my computer answering questions. It was a little crazy. It was weird. But I was gonna ask Andre, have you seen the Odin project?
Yeah, I did. I actually, that's the guy that, or the person that started the Viking school, or
Yeah.
something like that. I looked at it a little bit. I did some of their beginning stuff as it's like a little course that you're supposed to do before you do the bootcamp thing, for their HTML, CSS things. But I know it's very popular.
Yeah, I was just curious. Going Ruby and Rails, I've always suggested because it's kind of like the free code camp for the Ruby side. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sources, and honestly, I'm sure as all of the beginners who teach themselves do this, where you jump from one website to another website to another website, and you do a little bit here and then a little bit there and a little bit here, and honestly, that was just driving me so myself.
Yeah.
Between Code Academy and this school and Odin Project and Learn to Program and all that stuff, so I just did full of CSS and HTML courses from beginning to end, and then called Learn to Program on Ruby, and I did first 10 chapters, and now I'm doing the Z-Shot Learn Ruby the hard way. So I tell myself I'm going to get through this course without getting distracted, going on forums, or Googling the best online course on Ruby and just jumping around. And I feel like right now I'm not 100% beginner anymore in Ruby, so it's real difficult for me. Actually, at work, I started doing Ruby Monk website. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's really cool because you get to do the exercises right in the browser, and the way they do their exercises are a little different. You're not just following the tutorial and getting everything right, and then you're still wondering, like, I don't know if I understand it. I did the exercise, but the way they do it there is Ruby, or not Ruby, but the website expects a certain result, so specific checks need to be true, and basically you need to alter your code so all of those checks are, all those checks pass. It's kind of difficult to explain, but it basically, you have to solve a little puzzle every single time. It's not just following the tutorial. And I just like it because when I'm busy at work, I can do it right in the browser, and like I have like 5-10 minutes free time. I can just go ahead and do a little exercise. But still, I started from scratch, and all this stuff is really basic and stuff that I know. So, but it's good. Actually, on a couple of different ones, the introduction to hashes, it helped me understand a couple of things I was struggling with, because it was information but just presented a little bit differently.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Shaw's the book. I wish there was one on JavaScript. I know he's got one on Python and stuff, but
yeah,
that one is really good though. I like that one.
That book ramps up difficulty so fast. The first 20, 30 chapters, I was kind of breezing through it. It's like, oh, this is easy. And then, like late 30s chapters and early 40s, it's like I'm starting the next chapter, and I have this feeling that I just missed the last 2 chapters by accident, because, like, I'm really struggling with this. But go back to like networking and meetups and stuff. I went to a meetup in DC this weekend, and there was this chapter on Ruby in Zed's book that I was really struggling with, and after beating my head against the wall for like 2 days, I'm like, you know what, I don't think I'm gonna get it. I just moved on, keeping in the back of my mind, I'll need to come back to it when I'm a little bit more experienced, and maybe it will make more sense. But I went to this meetup, and so this guy was basically sitting next to me. I mean, he seemed really knowledgeable about everything, and he looked through a couple of things that I was working on, and then I was like, you know what, there's this chapter that I don't understand, and there's a couple of things I don't get. And within, I don't know, like 5 minutes, it was clear as day to me, because a couple of things that are not, written, he was able to explain to me. He was like, well, this is this because of this, and this is because of that. And I was like, oh, like a light bulb went off. That's awesome. In 5 minutes, for 2 days, what I was trying to understand, he just made it so clear. So
it's one of those things. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna wrap it up. I mean, just a great, super, super great experience, and it was definitely worth 6 hours of driving in that one day, 3 hours there, 3 hours back. And honestly, I'm already looking into Baltimore. It looks a great group. Baltimore, or I can't remember the name. I'm sure you know, Nick. Baltimore on Rails, or Ruby Baltimore.
Oh, the Be More on Rails?
Yeah, that one. It looks like a great group. I can't wait to go there. And
let me know when you go. I'll meet up with you there. Because I've been to theirs a couple times. It is a great group. Also, I don't know how much if you're going into JavaScript at all, but the Charm City JS also is really good. Now, where you live out in Ocean City? Do you live closer during the non-summer months out this way?
No, I live in Ocean City year-round. I have a year-round job in Ocean City.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. I know you said your hotel closes.
Yeah, the hotel closes. I still have, I still have to go there 40 hours a week.
Oh, okay.
It's just we don't have anybody staying there. The hotel is shut down. The office is open. So, we have like 400 people employed in the summer, and we only have 10 young employees, which I'm one of them. So I still have to go to work. It's just for the last 4 years, I usually just play video games for 7 hours a day while I'm there. So I figured I'll do something productive with my time this winter. So.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I'm actually going to focus back on JavaScript just because number one, I was going to start working with Alex on it some. Number two, I did really enjoy it going through the treehouse and stuff. But since you live out this way, if you ever wanted to get together to go through stuff, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I was really excited when I found your blog and everything, and when I realized you're in Baltimore, I was like, that's
mhm.
basically neighbors.
Well, plus you
It's
like board games too, so I'm a huge board game card fan and stuff. So
I
I'm
know.
always happy to find someone that likes them.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's not really a topic of this podcast, but yeah, I was when I was looked through things and I saw the little project you did for the BGG hotness. I was
Mhm.
like, yep, that's my guy.
Yeah, well, and
That was really exciting.
I saw you contact me on BGG. I don't go there that often, but I was like, oh yeah, you found me on there. So yeah, I go there. My biggest thing of going to BGG is usually I'm in a a board game or store or something, and I have like 6 games I want to buy, and I'm like, well, let's see what people say about all these. So
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
but yeah, definitely be in touch. So
Well, there
we
you
can
go,
get
guys.
together.
That's how you network with each other.
Yeah, see, Alex, it's not that hard. Not that hard. You just gotta probably move to somewhere
Yeah.
a little
Yeah,
more.
but for sure it would be. I definitely want to meet up with you in Baltimore, and going to one of the meetups would be great. And I don't know, in the back of my mind, that's actually how I see myself getting a job. Is going through these meetups, showing my enthusiasm for Ruby and learning and participating in meetups and stuff, and then somewhere down the line, somebody who also is on the meetup, there's a opening in their company, and they'll be like, you know what, there's this guy at our meetup, he's new at coding, but he seems like he's learning really fast, and I know he's looking for some kind of entry job. Let me ask him. For some reason, in the back of my mind, that's how I envision it happening. Not
See,
through
I think.
sending out tons of applications, but,
Hmm.
See, I
Yeah,
think there's two ways of it. Go ahead.
no, I lost what I was gonna say anyway. So go ahead. Sorry.
What I was gonna say is I think for those people again, I really want to speak to those people that are in my situation, like Daryl that we interviewed. He's in the same situation I am, living in a small city with no meetups. I think there's two ways of going about this. If you have the opportunity to go to meetups, definitely do it. Definitely do what Andre was saying. But if you're not in that position, I think the biggest way to do it is doing what I'm doing, where I'm constantly trying to really, really, I guess that you got to work even harder at it
for sure.
and really like push your resume to push your projects further than you normally would to get the job because again you don't have the opportunity to go meet people and like just let them personally get to know you over time from going to those meetups all the time. So I think that's my biggest thing.
Yeah, and
Um,
yeah, for you, Nick,
but
if you live in Baltimore, there's no excuse not to participate and go. And it's not like I have there's nothing in my area, but I'm fortunate that there's Baltimore and Philadelphia and DC within
Hmm.
a 3-hour drive from me, and driving doesn't really bother me too much, so it just takes more time and planning. I
Yeah, and
can
then
just
I
like
also
yeah.
have we have like the Free Code Camp in Baltimore has a page on Facebook. It also has one in DC, and we've done. I've done at least one meetup with one other person off of there, and they've just had one that I wasn't able to go to in the last week or so when I was sick, where they met up like at a library and studied together. So I mean, there's a plenty of things out there to be able to get access to other
I mean, no, I
programmers.
was gonna say
So.
I would say to other people that have the opportunity is like it's like Andre said, you really have no freaking excuse like not to go unless it's like 90 miles away and you can't drive. Like you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things. If you have the opportunity, don't be stupid and squander it because you're too lazy to get in your car and go meet people or you're afraid to go meet people. You know what I mean? Don't put extra work in if you don't need to like kill yourself to do it. If that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, and I think as with any job, like going back to getting hired and stuff, coding is it's only half of the equation. I'm sure there are people out there who are amazing coders. They are really really good. They really know what they're doing. but it's hard for them to find a job because they don't have any people skills, or they're not very social, or they don't have any soft skills to offer. You know.
And I think that's where meetups come in, because they can personally see you. But I think that's, on the other hand, like, where having a podcast like I have allows them to kind of see personable. You know, I mean, they can talk to people, or, you know, because it shows that I know how to just randomly go and contact people I never met, or, you know what I'm saying, like, because let's face it, there's people, not everybody can just go and message. Like, for instance, if I just was some random guy on the internet and just messaged Andre in the wrong way, or came across the wrong way to him, he could have been like, who the hell is this retard?
Mm-hmm.
You know, why should I talk to him? You know, and I think that's the other thing, is knowing how to do that. What's your opinion on that, Nick? You there, Nick?
Did we lose him?
I'm not sure.
It's breaking up kind of bad. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I had hit my mute button just because I don't want, you know, I'm trying to help with the you know, the bandwidth issue that we're having. In fact, I'm going to throw out here, if anybody knows of a way to record this show without having horrific quality problems and such, I would love to know. We've tried Skype. We were recording with Pamela, but even then, you know, we're recording and we had all kinds of echoes and signal drops and digitizing. We're doing Google Hangouts again this time. We actually had no echoes, which is great. But
jinx it.
Yeah, knocking on wood. The issue we're having today is, and I've been trying to look and see if there's something I can change on here, is basically you know, the digitizing. So, you know, I would love to know more, and you know, I agree with, from what I can understand of what you said, Alex. You know, I agree that we need to, you know, networking. There's no real excuse. I mean, there are some excuses, but did I understand what you were saying correctly? Because it was getting bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I was talking about the excuses about that. If you had the opportunity, I was also talking about, like, Andre was talking about having personal skills and being able to talk to people.
Oh yeah. That's one that we talked about before, the soft skills that this field takes. I mean, you can be the best coder in the world, you know, like just sit down and write code on a board that will run. But if you can't communicate with a team, you're going to find yourself lacking. You're probably going to find yourself
Andre was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying with meetups. It's easier for them to see you personally, like how you are in person. So I think that's why it's great if you're, like, with me, start up a podcast. I mean, like, that's what I was saying, because it shows that you and Andre are all personable. You know, I also pointed out the fact that in order to just randomly go out and contact people, you got to know how to come off the right way. You know, just even if you get them to sit down like I did with Andre and the rest of our guests, you know, Andre, I could have been great at just messaging somebody, but if I got on the call with Andre and I just come off as a total jerk, obviously Andre's gonna just hang up, you know, and not talk to me. And other things, you know, obviously, but that's gonna be inappropriate to say on the show. But it's the whole point of being able to do that. I think it shows how, you know, I really think it shows that personable, you know, being able to be personable and, you know, contacting people and soft skills, all the other soft skills that come with it. And I think the other thing too is, like, being able to I would say the other thing that really shows soft skills is being able to have a conversation with people you just randomly met. And I would say knowing how to get along with each other, like if they bring up certain topics or, you know, certain things like that, or if you don't quite agree with them, you know, different things, and not totally just lose it, you know what I mean? Like, have an actual conversation with them. Because I think that's another thing that's going to happen on a team, or that happens on teams, is you just not everyone's going to get along, you know, or not everybody's going to agree on one thing. And so I think by going to those meetups and stuff, it's gonna help out a lot, or just doing the podcast. So
Yeah, no, I agree
but
with you.
yeah. But besides that point, guys, we're gonna kind of have to start wrapping a little bit of things up here. So before we wrap things up, Andre, is there anything else you want to go over?
Well, no, that's it. I just wanted to thank you guys for having me. It was a kind of out of nowhere, out of the blue. It was a nice surprise. Again, I was just having a blog out there is great because that's how I found Nick. I just had an issue with this chapter in Zed Shah's book, and I just started googling that chapter because I just was out of ideas, and I guess it was a chapter that you worked at some point, and you really documented your thought process on it, and it helped me out. So I started looking up other posts, and I found you on Twitter and found your website and stuff. So, I mean,
it's funny how that works.
It's funny how that works. Absolutely.
Twitter, and I found you through Dick. So.
Yeah. And
that's kind of awesome how it ends up working out. So
yeah,
again, it's networking, people. Come on.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And if anybody's interested in getting in touch with me, you can find me on Google Plus or Twitter, Andre Koenig, Koenig, and I'm sure you guys will put it in the description or something.
Yeah,
we'll have it in the show notes.
Send me all of your links. I'm pretty sure I got them all, but just in case.
I'm always happy to hear from people and talk to you and tell you about myself. Or if you're also starting out, I'm always looking for a coding partner because I realized coding together you learn so much faster because you can bounce ideas off each other, catch each other's mistakes. I might understand something better than you do, and vice versa. And learning off of each other is a great resource. And another friend of mine.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Introduced me to a Screen Share or Screen Hero app, and that's awesome. You can just basically remotely code on one computer sitting across the globe. So.
Oh, yeah.
Have you tried Cloud9's remote work?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called a Screen Hero.
No, I know that. I was saying, have you tried Cloud9 where you can do remote? Yeah. Both can connect on the same thing.
Yeah, I think the thing he's talking about is the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So we should
kind of yeah. Well, what I was gonna say, Andre, is I mean, if you ever need help or anything, I know you're in Ruby, but if you ever need other advice for JavaScript or whatever on that side, let me know, and I can try to do what I can to help you out.
Sure, absolutely, I will hold you to it. Yeah.
And then, but yeah, I mean, like. We definitely want to have you back on for a little bit longer for next time. Kind of check back up where you are and see where you made it next time. See where you've headed, I should say.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. It was fun talking to you, and I'll always make time for talking and hanging out with you on chat or whatever, Google Hangouts or whatever you use at that time.
Yeah,
definitely.
Definitely look me up when you're in Baltimore too.
Yeah, actually, speaking of that, since I have you on the air, there's a meetup coming up in 2 weeks. I was thinking of going this Tuesday, but with this weather,
well, they might not even be there.
Yeah. yeah. But on October, I think
might not be there in 2 weeks. But.
Well, hopefully, but I think October 13th there's a meetup coming up that I'm hoping to go to.
Yeah, I need to add Meetup back on my phone. I just had to format my phone. I've told Alex has seen some of my phone woes. I'm actually about to buy a new one.
Oh God!
Yeah, I had to format the whole thing, but no, definitely. I'll be going. So you're talking about the VMware on Rails meetup?
Yes.
I think it's the first Tuesday of the month. So first Tuesday of the month. So that would have been next week. So the one after that, I think, is then the open source night or something like that, or maybe the pub night. I'm not sure. So. Definitely let me know when you're coming to one, and I'll meet you there.
Yeah, awesome.
Because I didn't get to go to the last one being sick, and so I'm wanting to go to the next one. Hopefully they're here on Tuesday.
Yeah, it will be great meeting you.
Yeah, it looks like actually there's none. I'm looking on my calendar now here. There's none on Tuesday the 6th. There's a pub night, and then.
I think it's the 13th.
The 13th. Yep, the 13th is the actual one that I would go to. Is that one? with all the different talks and stuff. So this one is called From Turning Wrenches, Get Intro and Tips and question marks. So it's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, that's the
So
one I'm planning on going to. But I will
awesome.
touch
I
base
will
with you on Twitter.
RSVP and go to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. That's awesome. All right.
Sounds good. So yeah, so before we end the show real quick, we always want to go over our goals for the coming weeks. So Andre, what are your plans for the next week or so to get done with specific things with code, or do you have any
Yeah.
plans?
Oh yeah, sure, always. I'm on chapter 45 in the Zed Shaw's book, and it's kind of big. I've already spent about 15 hours on this chapter, and I'm hoping to wrap it up within a week. It basically has you designing this game based, on what you know so far, and so I'm doing this dungeon crawl game that's loosely based on my wife's favorite board game called Dungeon Fighter. And Mr. Zed Shaw suggested that I should make the game as complicated as I can, and I'm basically taking it to heart. It's huge. It has all these stats, and you constantly roll dice and all this stuff. So I'm hoping to finish up with this because I really need to keep going, and kind of spending a lot of time on it. So
Is this the one that I played the one time you sent me a part of it?
yeah, no, that one was for a previous assignment too. This is a new one I'm working on.
I would definitely be interested in checking it
I
out. I'm trying to remember what the other one was. I thought it was a dungeon one, but maybe I guess
it was like an escape style.
Yeah. It's been a while, so my memory's not the best these days.
No, I don't know if this game will run in that website REPL website, whatever it's called. I tried copy pasting the code just out of curiosity, but I don't know because the code is so big, I can't get it to run reliably. So I mean, I'll still post a link to GitHub, so you can always copy paste it and run it on your machine.
Yeah. If you do so, let me know. I'll try it. Awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
my blog and Twitter, but I'll send you a link.
Okay. So I guess my goals this
good.
week is, I started working this week with Alex on learning Express.js and MongoDB, which I think we made some pretty good progress. Both of us were about to fall asleep earlier.
I should say to rephrase learning, I should say I'm teaching him because kind of sounds weird. Anyway.
I'm learning. I guess that's the way I worded it. It's a little weird. It doesn't matter. We were both falling asleep because of probably a gas leak or something. I don't know what was wrong earlier, but we made good progress today. My goal, honestly, is to try to find a little bit more work-life balance so that I can continue learning and not burning out, but also continuing to pick up skills along the way. And that's something I'm probably going to be posting on my blog about here soon. Is finding balance while learning, so you don't get to the point where you're, about to crawl into a corner and cry. But probably continue learning from Alex on that, and then probably starting another project thereafter and continuing on. So.
Yep, sounds good. So my goal is going to be I'm trying to pick up some more knowledge on Angular, or start picking up knowledge on Angular, so I can add that to my resume. Build some couple projects out of that. So I'm trying to finish it up tonight because I'm wrapping it up on Code School stuff. After that, I'm really just going to be building out more projects, and I'm trying to get to the point where I can get on to CodeCamp's nonprofit organizations to build that up as well. But my main real goals are just to really finish up Angular this week and start building out more projects and start applying to more jobs and see what happens.
We should try doing the paired programming on that to go through those.
Yeah,
that would probably. I think you're supposed to anyways. Yeah. And honestly, we probably should try to go through. I know we complained before about the basic algorithm things, but they're probably important to know, even though they're kind of.
Yeah, I think it's more practice. Yeah.
Well, it's algorithms is what you're learning. I've read a little bit more about it, and they are kind of important to know. I think it's just they're forcing you at the beginning. I've seen some people say, first you want to pick up the basics, then go to the algorithms. But these are basic ones that are there probably for a reason. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
we can talk about that more. Yeah. But
Yeah.
all right.
All right. So yeah, it was good talking to you, Andre. And like I said, I want to keep in touch with you and have you back on next time.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for the invite, and certainly I'll be looking forward to it.
All right, great.
All right. So as always, I am Alex Gortney,
Nick Queen,
and this
and you can say your name too.
this card
Andre.
always fails.
And Andre Koenig. Sorry.
We should prepare for this before the show.
Well, actually,
Horribly not. Yeah.
I was going to, but I had like a little drop in quality, so I wasn't sure if I lost you or not. So.
It's always the quality. The quality. We're always gonna have a drop in
I know.
quality. It's horrible.
All right.
Again, if anybody knows how to fix this, please let me know.
Actually,
In the madness now.
Nick, I do have an idea for you. If you want to call me back for like 2 minutes, I can tell you how you can do it. It's not easy, but that will make it for quality audio.
No, yeah, definitely. Well, when we get done with this, we can talk about it real quick. So
Yeah.
thanks.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
All right.
So anyway, guys, join us next time, and we'll be back later. Bye.
See ya.